Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
किताब पाई पढ़ी रमाई कल्पनामा उड़ना पाई कथा नि पाई कविता नि पाई संगीत गीत सचित्र पाई संगीत गीत सचित्र पाई हाथी आमा साथमा छ अज्ञान मैलो खै कहाँ छ किताब जस्तो को छ र साथी तिमी हुँदा चढ्छु माथि माथि त्यसैले पढ्छु किताब देऊ खुसीले बढ्छु किताब देऊ खुसीले बढ्छु किताब देऊ खुसीले बढ्छु किताब देऊ
असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति 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 असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
Namaste. That was the light of knowledge to inaugurate Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021. I am your host, Monita Gurum, Festival Coordinator of Bal Sahitya Mahotsav, and I will take you through the program this morning. Thank you, Ms. Mamta, for lending your voice to the Panas Pambatti. Welcome to the inauguration ceremony of the much-awaited virtual Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021. Let me begin by acknowledging the presence of Dr. Usha Jha, our guest of honor, and Dorothy Barnhouse, who will be joining us shortly, our keynote speaker, and all our guests to this virtual event. Bal Sahitya Mahotsav, Nepal's pioneering children's literature festival, is now ready to connect readers around the world with a free digital edition of the much-loved festival celebrating the joy of reading, writing, and storytelling. This is the 6th iteration of the annual Bal Sahitya Mahotsav, which will feature readings by international and national writers and storytellers, interaction with authors and illustrators, curated readings, writing, art and drama workshop for young readers, play readings by authors, and much more. Popular international authors and Nepali authors of children's book will hold readings and discussions session for children, and this edition will feature more international authors than any other year before, thanks to going virtual and digital. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now put our hands together for the director of Ratabangla School, Ms. Shanta Dixit. Ms. Dixit will now deliver her welcome remarks.
Namaste and good morning. On behalf of Ratabangla Kitab, Ratabangla School and Ratabangla Foundation, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the 6th edition of Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021, the first virtual and a week-long BSM. I welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Usha Jha, member of the National Planning Commission, with a portfolio of education, science and technology, health and population, and coordination related to province number 2, as well as Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 4. Good health and well-being and inclusive and equitable quality education are what go under goals 3 and 4, and this is very important for us. A scientist and an academician, Dr. Jha will know the direct correlation between reading and literacy and nation building. It is my pleasure to have you here today. Dr. Dorothy Barnhouse, our keynote, travels to us virtually from the United States. Dorothy is a rare educator who teaches writing but also writes and edits professionally. Ratbangla has been fortunate to have Dorothy here in person while she was teaching in Mumbai. Many of us have attended her workshops and some participated in the chapter book writing session she conducted in 2017. We are honored to have Dorothy as our keynote. Thank you for being here. The first Children's Literature Festival of Nepal, Bal Sahitya Mahotsav, was held in 2015. We started with the aim of making this festival into a movement, and it has become one, with Bal Sahitya Mahotsav happening in schools around the country. The central objective of the festival is to provide an interactive and inclusive opportunity to appreciate the power and pleasure of reading, particularly, number one, to encourage children to enjoy reading and to read more extensively. Number two, to raise awareness amongst teachers and parents so that reading is encouraged. 3, to expand the number of books available for children. 4, to bring the festival to the district level. And 5, to encourage writers and illustrators of children's books. Our institution have been working hard to meet each of these objectives of the BSM. The importance of developing good reading habits in children has to become early. A strong foundation for reading from birth puts these children at an advantage in school. Children who have not caught up with reading by grade 3 are unlikely to perform well in school and form the majority of the dropouts if intensive remedial work is not done in the earliest grades. We know the importance of early childhood experiences for brain development. Keeping this in mind, Ratbangla Kitab has over the years published a variety of meaningful books in a variety of formats for children. This year, it is set out to launch books in 5 regional languages. 21st February, today is Mother Language Day. 15 mother language books are being launched today, 3 books in 5 languages. Milan Dixit will elaborate on the importance of books in the mother language and how they support holistic development of the child. An additional alliterative alphabet book in Nepali will be launched. A media literacy guideline for parents developed by Ratbangla School is also being launched today in Nepali, called Samajhdar Digital Nagarik Banu, Abhibhavak ko lagi nirdeshika. It is intended to support parenting by enabling parents to guide children better in the digital age. Evidence from research shows that in addition to being a key indicator of future educational achievement, effective reading contributes to economic productivity and an individual's full participation in society. If all students in developing countries acquired basic reading skills at an early age, millions of people would enjoy the pleasure of reading and could be lifted out of poverty. Reading regularly with young children stimulates optimal pattern of brain development at a critical time in child development, which in turn builds language, literacy, and socio-emotional skills that last a lifetime. While Ratbangla Kitab organizes the Children's Literature Festival in Kathmandu, Ratbangla Foundation takes it to schools around the country. Over the years, schools participate in the BSM, take additional training at the foundation to make detailed plans to conduct BSMs in their own schools. For the past several years, senior students have participated along with teachers to ensure the quality of BSM and provide necessary support. This year, the BSM will be conducted in 12 schools in Lalitpur, as well as 8 additional schools covering all 7 provinces of Nepal. Once the pandemic abates, the foundation will travel to these schools to provide necessary scaffolding for their BSMs. UNICEF states that more than 1 billion children are at risk of falling behind in their education due to COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing lockdown. Most countries have resorted to digital learning platforms, but 1/3 of the world's and 2/3 of Nepal's children are unable to access remote learning. Given this harsh reality, the foundation developed a radio program for children and broadcasted it via 200 community radio stations all over Nepal. Radio Bal Sikai sought to inform, to entertain, and to provide skills to children. Originally aired twice a week for children, the program now has a parent and teacher component and is being aired 3 times a week. Further realizing the limited reach of radio, the content is being uploaded at podcasts in Hamro Patro so that it can be accessed on demand. RBF has made a year-long commitment to run this program, a small but significant contribution to benefit children during the pandemic. Invited to join us here today for this opening ceremony are special individuals who have been part of earlier BSMs from India, US, UK, and Switzerland. While we missed the physical BSM with children, parents, and guests all over the school compound, happily engaged in various activities, we have to be grateful that it is the nature of this virtual event that has allowed you to be here and to give to BSM the best part of yourselves. Anil Bisht, author and educator from Kumaon, India, was the guest of honor for our first Bal Sahitya Mahotsav. Peter Larangis graced our second BSM in 2016, best known for children and young adult fiction, has written many award-winning books. The 7 Wonder series and the 39 Clues series are noted. Marcus Pfister came to Nepal in 2017. His famous rainbow fish was 25 years then. Marcus gave Ratabangla Kitab the permission to publish some of his books in Nepali. These include Timu and Moto, Questions, Happy Birthday Nils, Jack in the Rainforest, and Ava's Poppy. They are loved by our children. David Heathfield came for the BSM in 2018. David travels the world telling stories from the world's oral cultures, which he believes is a powerful medium to bring people together. Over the years, many of our teachers and students have benefited from David's storytelling. The best-selling author of over 100 children's science fiction and fantasy books, Bruce Coville, visited Nepal just before the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020. Despite numerous books, Bruce has never found it easy to write because he says he always sets the bar higher for himself. His advice to aspiring writers is read constantly, keep a journal, and never give up. Kanak Dixit, author of our best-selling Bhakta Prasad Bhyaguto, has always graced our festival. The much-loved Frog book, which is 25 this year, has raised the profile of Ratabangla Kitab. Besides sessions with these authors, a variety of other wonderful sessions for children of different ages, as well as parents and teachers, have been planned through the week. The facilitators are Dorothy Barnhouse, Kripa Joshi, Rachel Manandhar, Rupa Joshi, Punyashil Gautam, Kalpana Parajuli, Romina Shrestha, who moderates Dr. Nicholas Streeton, Dr. Stacy Pig, Gina Gangliano, and Kripa Joshi. Ratabangla teachers and Ratabangla Kitab authors provide a lot of reading and other activities for you. In the past years, adults all around the world have struggled with the effects of the pandemic. Children have also gone through unprecedented changes in their lives. How has this affected them? What are they thinking? To get an insight, Judith Gold and Milan Dixit talk to children to discover and explore what they are feeling as they experience lockdowns, school closures, being indoors, remote learning, mask wearing, sick family members, anxious parents, or even having COVID themselves. Their session will focus on these conversations with children. Judith has been a long-time teacher developer at Ratabangla. She was instrumental in helping us set up our early childhood center. A special welcome to the children who are participating in this festival, the educators, the writers, the student volunteers, the illustrators, and the parents. And of course, the dedicated and proficient BSM team led by Monita Guru. Welcome, presenters, and thank you for joining the movement to develop a reading culture for children in Nepal. Enjoy Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shanta, for your warm welcome. We have our guest of honor join us for the session for the inauguration ceremony. Welcome, Dr. Usha Shah. Now I would like to invite Ms. Milan Dixit, Principal of Ratabangla School, to conduct the book launch program and inform us about the unique books launched by Ratabangla Kitab. The book launch will be done in 3 phases. We are about to witness the first and second. Ms. Milan, the floor is all yours.
Namaste, Dr. Usha Jha, Dr. Dorothy Banhaus, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure I've seen Dorothy yet. Maybe I just missed her. It is my pleasure to conduct the book launch segment of the opening ceremony today. This is after my own heart. The Bal Sahitya Mahotsav started in 2015 as a movement to spread the reading culture in Nepal. It has also been an opportunity to introduce landmark publications during each festival. Ratabangla Kitab publishes something new, something unique and special in the world of children's literature in Nepal during each festival, pursuing its mission to develop a culture of reading by creating attractive, relevant, and enjoyable books for children. In 2015, we decided to publish some big books in Nepali. In 2016, immediately after the great earthquake that shook Nepal, we launched 92 picture books. These were a part of the 200 titles published to distribute to all primary schools in the 14 districts affected by the earthquake. In 2017, we decided to publish Braille books for children after we learned that apart from very essential textbooks, there was very little in Braille for children. It had been years since we published The Adventures of a Nepali Frog in Braille. After this, we've made a commitment to publish Braille books for children regularly and distribute them for free in all the schools around the country that use Braille. In 2018, we published board books. In 2018, we published 2 more Braille books and also continued publishing noteworthy picture books. In 2020, considering that the importance of providing a strong foundation for reading from birth to age 5, we decided to publish board books for the very young readers. We launched 6 board books, which I believe are the first board books in Nepali. Now let me talk about the book launch program today. Language and mother tongue play a vital role in the development of personal, social, and cultural identity. Today, we are launching 15 children's picture books in 5 different languages of Nepal: Maithili, Newari, Tamang, Bhojpuri, and Tharu. According to the Language Commission of Nepal's annual report, the languages most commonly spoken in the country are Nepali, Maithili, Bhojpuri, Tharu, and Tamang, and Nepal Bhasa. Even some of the top 10 most spoken languages are losing speakers as the young lack opportunities for using them. Today, 21st February, is International Mother Language Day, and we mark it to advance multilingualism for inclusion in education and society. Children with a strong foundation in their first language often display a deeper understanding of themselves and their place within society. They also show a greater sense of achievement. Studies have shown that cognitive and intellectual development happens comparatively faster in those who are fluent in their mother tongue. We will now begin the book launch with Kasto Maya Gareko. Written by Mili Julie Sampa, which consists of Ratabangla Kitab team of writers. illustrated by Santa Hitang, translated in Maithili by Lalita Jha, in Tamang by Amrit Yonjan Tamang, in Newari by Prakriti Karmacharya, in Bhojpuri by Krishna Kuswaha, and in Tharu by Sudha Oja. Now I invite the translators and volunteers to read a page each of this book in all 5 languages to launch this precious collection.
कतेक दुलार करै छी
कट्रा माया कछु
केतना माया करै छ
मिना
मतिना यानागो
खारङबदे माया लावा विवाह छै
बुद्धि झुला झुला दिउँ कट्रा माया कठो
दादाजी दादाजी चस्मा लियो कतेक दुलार करै छी
चाची गीत सुनाऊ केतना माया करै छ
मा स्कुटी सफायाला गैचो गमतिना यानागो
aku nga gyengso खारङबदे माया लावा
बाबु भुइँया बहार दु केतना माया करै छ
भाइजा सफुगोना बिला गैचो गमतिना यानागो गैचो गमतिना यानागो
Thank you, dear readers. Sudha Oja reading in Tharu, Krishna Kuswa in Bhojpuri, Amrit Yonjan in Tamang, Krisangi Yadav in Maithili, and Prakriti Karmacharya in Newari. Next book we are launching is Udne Ki Gudne,
Urka
written by Kalpana Parajuli, illustrated by Promina Shrestha, translated by the same group of writers in Maithili, Tamang, Newari, Bhojpuri, and Tharu. Now let's hear the read aloud of the book Udne Ki Gudne in all the 5 languages.
Urka ki gurka
उडव कि गुडकव
उडके कि गुडुकके
फ्याङबकी गुडतावा
बुएगु कि गुडे जुइगु रकाका
आमा आमा तिनी खानङ नि बा मामला दिमरी
कट्रा मजा कसिक जा साइकलमा गुर्का
डुङ्गा चोना सलो गया
गड़ी पर खड़े खड़ी ट्रक पर बैठ के
चिल गाडीमा उर्क हेलिकप्टरमा फट फट फट
मोटरसाइकिल पर भट 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 रेलगाडी में छुक छुक छुक
टेम्पोरी गुटुङ टुङटुङ कारी सुरुरुरु
रिक्सा फर्र आहा
लेकिन आज पैदल चलल जाई की
नानी
Thank you, readers. That was lovely. The third book is Ramailo, written by Milijuli Samuha, illustrated by Santa Hitang, translated by the same group of writers in Maithili, Tamang, Newari, Bhojpuri, and Tharu. Now let's hear the read aloud of the book Ramailo in all the 5 languages.
बाखायु नाना यही पुसी चो
मजा
ओकर नाम है मोज
मजा
बाबूजी के कन्हा पर चढ़ैत हमरा मोज लागल दांडी बाई के गुदगुदी लगाबैत हमरा मोज लागल
अजा यागु ग्वापिया जितन यही पुसी चोन तबान बाख कना जितन यही पुसी चोन
भुन्टे सँगै दौडे में हमरा मजा आएला
रोथेन बलक्लाङमा ngada lanan chuji jijoithen polung thuma ngada lanan suji
अकेले पानी में भीजे में हमरा मजा आयलक। म्याउची के दूध पियली त हमरा मजा आयलक।
मामीसँगै चन्द्रमा देखैत हमरा मोज लागल।
अपन पथरी मिलाए बेर महिन मजा लागल। दाइक कोनामा सुते बेर महिन मजा लागल।
Thank you, Krishangi Yadav, Amrit Yonjan, Prakriti Karmacharya, Krishna Kuswaha, and Sudha Oja. Now we've come to the second part of the book launch. Parenting in the digital age requires guiding children with media literacy skills. We are in a new world, one in which our children are growing up digital in ways we ourselves never experienced. It is estimated that the average child is exposed to an onslaught of marketing messages, about 3,000 ads a day, all aimed at developing brand loyalty from a very young age. After the advent of online classes, children faced a sudden immersion on digital media, and they were navigating resources both suitable and unsuitable for their young minds. The Rata Bangla faculty felt a need for a comprehensive media literacy guideline for parents and teachers, of course, and conducted a week-long media literacy week at the school. Today, we are launching the media literacy guideline for parents in Nepali, hoping that it will be useful for parents and teachers all around Nepal. प्रस्तुत छ समझदार डिजिटल नागरिक बनो अभिभावकको लागि निर्देशिका। Over to you, Monita.
Thank you, Ms. Millen, for the very interesting and important book launch. Rata Bangla Kitab is very proud to have published these books in regional languages. In addition, the media literacy guidelines for parents is much needed as parents navigate new challenges of parenting. Now, to move forward, we will be waiting for Dr. Dorothy Barnhouse to join us shortly, and we'll move to the next segment. So,
shall I continue with the book launch?
Yes, Miss, please do. Thank you.
Is Dorothy coming?
Yes, Miss, she'll be joining us shortly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monita. Now we come to the third part of the book launch. We are now launching a very, very special Barnamala book for little children, an alliterative alphabet book entitled Dhare ra Dherule Dhakkan Dhare, Nepali Barnamala, written by Milijuli Samua of Rata Bangla Kitab and illustrated by Kripa Joshi. We have invited two children from grade 1 to launch this book. Arpan and Tejal will do the honors by reading a few pages of the Barnamala.
Ma'am, I cannot hear the sound.
Yeah. Tech department, can you turn on the sound, please?
नेपाली बरमाला लेखक मिली जुली समूह चित्र कृपा जोशी कछुवा र कमिला कसरी कराए खरायाले खोला माथि खटपुजा खसाए गोमा र ग्याल्मोले गुच्चा घुडाए घिरौला र घैटाले घडीलाई घुमाए न्याउलाको न्याउ न्याउ न्यार मुर्र चरा र चमेराको चिर्र चिर्र च्यार्र छहराको छाहारीमा छेपारालाई छाक्दा जङ्गलमा जरायो र जिराफलाई जामा झर झर झरनामा झारपात चढेको मन्जरी र चञ्चलेले कार कोरेको धडेर ढेडुले ढक्कन डाले नेपाली बरमाला.
Well done, Arpan and Tejal. That was excellent reading. We hope this book of tongue twisters will delight all children learning the alphabets. With that, we come to the end of the book launches for today. Before I leave, I would like to congratulate Monita Gurung and the Rato Bangla Kitab team, editor Sudha Oja, layout and design team Chandra Dongol, Bhaikaji Raj Bahak, and Bir Bahadur Uparkoti. Thank you to the writers, illustrators, and translators. Thank you. Over to you, Monita.
Thank you, Ms. Milan. Wow, that was such a proficient reading by Arpan and Tejal. Looks like the Barnamala is going to be a lot of fun. I would also like to share that our keynote speaker, Dr. Dorothy Banhaus, has joined us for this inaugural ceremony. While she settles down, I'd like to move forward with the program. Dr. Usha Jha, our guest of honor, was appointed as the member of National Planning Commission, Government of Nepal from May 2nd, 2018. She comes from Mahottari District, Province 2. From 1985 to 1998, Dr. Jha worked in higher education. From 1998, she has been working as the development worker with NGOs, INGOs, donors, and UN. She was an executive member and president of the National INGO Network Group Against AIDS. As a development worker, Dr. Jha, in different sectors of development, has worked in sectors like education, community, economic empowerment, health, peace, building, and governance. She participated in grassroots and national level research, designed programs, and worked on the implementation and advocacy. Let us give a hand to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Usha Jha, to deliver her address. Over to you, Dr. Usha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Monita. This is really a great honor for me. And I'm really very happy, very happy to be a part of this book launching ceremony today. I would really like to thank the whole team of Rato Bangla, I would say, because it has got three wings into it. As a school, it comes as a school, it comes as a foundation, it comes as a library. So I can see it shining everywhere. So I would honestly say my lots of thanks to Rato Bangla to give me this opportunity to be able to stand in front of you and talk about the book and the other things that is being done by you all. It is really great, and I really congratulate Milan, Dr. Milan Madam, who has been really very innovative in launching all the books, and she has really the way she has presented the launching in this virtual ceremony, it makes you feel that you are the lively part of it. So it's all becoming lively. It's not that we are doing it virtually, but the way she has developed it, the mechanism to launch the book by asking the translators to read it, and then by asking the children to go through the Varnavala and read it all. I would really appreciate the way, Milan, you have really presented it to us, and I really acknowledge the book launching process that is being done by you. And I can see the contents in the book. I would tell you that these are the things that is needed today. What we think is we are putting lots of pressure on children. And this is going to, we are really damaging our future. I would honestly say that, and I have this feeling, actually, it is not that I'm saying that, it's my feeling that the way we are these days putting pressure on children, it's like you are killing them. We are all killing our future. So I think we have to be very sensitive about it. And the books that you have launched and the message that you have given in the books, I wish it can go to the rest of the world. And people can really get the information that this is how we should handle the children. And this is how we should take care of the children. And children, it's not a means of just reading A, B, C, D, and Kaka, Gaga, and all those things. They really need to understand and be the part of education and get engaged into the education, not just keeping everything in their store of the mind and then really dig it out as and when needed. So I really appreciate the effort that you people are making in, and I have not really been very familiar with everything that you have been doing, but I was just looking at some of the website information that what are there being done by you. And I could see lots of good things that is being done and that needs replications. And being a member of National Planning Commission and looking at the health and the education sector myself, I really appreciate and to find some strategies and the mechanisms so that we can really come together. The whole education system can come together and they can really own the innovative things that is being done by you all. So I would wish that, and I would certainly organize a meeting with you all. I know Shanta, I'm very close to her, and we have been working together. We have been actually walking and laughing and running together in Vietnam, and it was really very nice. So I remember every single moment that we have been talking, and the concern that she has. Actually, it is not only the walking and talking; it was the lots of concern which we have been talking together. Is that she really wants to do that? There is an energy in her, and she really wants to do something, but the pickup is not there. We need to develop a pickup. So this is the way you are doing it, and I'm really finding it a great way of doing it all, because you have already scaling up in 13 schools of Lalitpur district. So I think it needs more scaling up, and it needs to go to more and more people. I would be very happy to inform you all that I understand Shanta knows about that, but we are the National Planning Commission has very recently from the OPMCM, we have got approval from the ECD strategy, the early childhood strategy. We have got one strategy on the table, which is applicable until 2030. And it has got so many good things into it. And we can really extract few things strategically out of it, because it is just a strategy. It gives us a direction. But the way to implement the strategies, again, it depends on us. And this is something that whatever you have shown is something that develops a link between the strategy that National Planning Commission has developed and what we envision and what needs to be done. So there is a linkage, and I can see the book you have launched, like the Kastomaya Gariko, Uneki Gune, Ramailo, and also the media literacy which you are doing for the teachers and the parents, and again the Varnamala which you have done. This gets somewhere linked to the ECD strategy which we have developed. So it's the early childhood. When we talk about this early childhood, it is. Since I'm very much involved in your Bal Mahotsav now. So it's a Bal Mahotsav, it's something early childhood, And I really want to ensure every single parent in Nepal that they understand that the importance of Bal Mahotsav. It is not a celebration. It is something that we really want to engage the mothers and the children into it and move forward with that. So Milan, Shanta, the whole Ratu Bangla team, I'm sorry if I'm missing the names, because I know only these two names. Monita has been coordinating with me, so I know the third name. And I don't know many more names into that, but I'm sure it's not only Milan and Shanta. There is a big force behind her who is really pushing her up and it's bringing her to a great success. It is a great success for all of us. So I would really like to congratulate the whole team behind her. And I would really like to once again thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And I look forward to working with you all in the days to come, so that we can have a common way forward and we can replicate it in all the 7 provinces and all the 753 municipalities of Nepal. Thank you so much, and congratulations, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jha, for your inspiring address. Your depth of knowledge and enthusiasm to encourage children's literature is much appreciated. So the book launch event, we are moving forward with it. And now I would like to call upon our keynote speaker, Dr. Dorothy Barnhouse. Dorothy Barnhouse is a writer, editor, and educator. She has an MFA from Columbia University and has received grants and fellowship from the New York Foundation of the Arts, the Sustainable Arts Foundation, and the MacDowell Colony. She has taught writing in the Teachers College Reading and Writing Projects, New York University School of Continuing Education, Long Island University, and the American School of Bombay. She has written 2 books on teaching teaching reading, and is currently a consultant in the New York City public schools. Her fiction and essays have been published in the New York Times, the New York Daily News, and Columbia, a magazine of poetry and prose. Now I invite Dorothy Banhouse to give her keynote address. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here and so honored to see so many familiar faces. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've seen you in person. Hi, everybody. I feel a bit like I'm teaching to the choir, but it's such an honor to be here and to remember the time when I was in Nepal in 2017. And I work with so many of you and your students at Rata Bangala, and I really continue to hold your school close to my heart. We're really here together to celebrate stories, reading them, writing them, telling them, hearing them, and sharing them. And I know you all know how much stories matter and how they connect people. In 2017, when I was in Nepal, a hurricane hit the Texas coast of the United States, and many schools were flooded. They lost everything, including their classroom libraries. Their students had no books. A few teachers I had previously worked with put out a request at that time on Twitter for people to post videos of themselves reading books for children so they could share them with their students. And two of the teachers I was working with in Nepal immediately volunteered to send a video, and they taped themselves reading Tapa Tapa Topi for the students in Texas. And they knew, and the teachers in Texas knew, that stories allow us to reach across borders and languages and become united by words and pictures, by rhymes that make you smile and characters that remind you of yourself. It seems that at no time in our lifetimes are the connections between us more important than now. We're locked down by a pandemic and we're isolated from colleagues and loved ones. And it does not seem coincidental that at this same time, those who would like to grab power are doing so by dividing us. And they're dividing us by exploiting words and stories and by manipulating the media that fill our homes. And they're turning words into weapons and language into lies. And so we must do what we're doing now. We must come together and remind ourselves and each other of the power that words have to unite. Just as those teachers reading Tapa Tapa Topi were briefly united with students halfway around the world whose language was not their language, but whose experience and need for joy and comfort certainly was. To reclaim words and their power to unite, we must work to democratize education. And by this, I don't just mean that everyone should learn to read and write, though I certainly believe they should. Democratizing education is more than simply teaching everyone to decode print in whatever language they're learning in. Democratizing education means empowering learners to be active makers of knowledge rather than passive takers of knowledge. And to do this, we must create learning environments that emphasize voice and choice. So first, voice. The writer Grace Lin, who's won the Caldecott and Newbery Awards, talks about how she lost and then found her voice as she became a writer. She was the daughter of Taiwanese immigrants who moved to a small town in New York State, where they were the only Asian family. Grace's education consisted of reading books filled with characters that were unlike her, white and middle class. The idea of writing from her own life and experience never occurred to her. In fact, her background shamed her. But as she persevered and wrote and eventually published books that incorporated and celebrated her Taiwanese roots, something interesting began to happen. Her readership widened. She was not just selling to Chinese Americans, she was selling to all Americans, including the white middle-class ones that used to dominate her school's reading list. And here's the irony of voice. In embracing our voices, we expand our identities. In celebrating what is unique about us, we grow to find what is universal. There are those who will tell us this is not so. They think that identity is threatening, and they use identity to divide us and pit us against each other. This happens when we use identity as a simple label. I am, for example, a white woman living in Brooklyn, New York. And if I only live within the confines of that label, my interests may seem to conflict with someone who's different than I am, say a Black man or a recent immigrant from Honduras. But when we open our identities to include our stories, we can find that we actually have much in common. We may all be parents, for example, or we may all be struggling with grief or loss, or experiencing the joy of a simple moment, such as the smell of fresh bread or the feel of a breeze as we ride a bicycle on a sunny day. When I find my voice and speak my stories, I invite other people's stories into my life, and thus I find unity where others may only see differences. Grace Lynn's story is the story of finding unity through identity. It's also tragically the story of a girl who grew up without seeing herself in books. It's hard to be what you can't see, she says. And because she never saw herself in the stories she read, she never thought she could write. I connect to this story as well. When I was in school, largely in the United States and in American schools in India, I was mostly taught from the Western canon. Books by dead white men filled my bookshelves. And though many of them were good books, and certainly most of them had white female characters in them, I never saw myself as someone whose name could be on the spine of a book. I never saw myself as a writer. But then I read the memoir Homesick by Jean Fritz, which was about her growing up as a missionary kid in China. I had grown up as a missionary kid in India, and I was amazed to read a story so close to mine in the pages of a published book. This book came out in 1982 when I was in my 20s, and that was the first time I thought, maybe I too have a story to tell. Maybe my story is important. Maybe I can write. Grace Lynn's story and my story serve to eliminate how schools, often implicitly, convey messages that privilege some identities over others, some people's voices over others. We cannot allow this to continue happening. We should first and foremost ensure that the reading lists in our curricula are diverse and reflective of a variety of voices. When we read a variety of books, a wider variety of readers will find themselves, know themselves better, and a wide variety of writers will also find themselves. Thus, the number and variety of voices in our classrooms will grow exponentially. And as the number and variety of voices grow, we will learn to not just reach into ourselves, but to reach beyond ourselves. We will learn to see others more clearly and with greater empathy. In this way, diverse books unite us. We see how each of us is unique, and we see how each of us is linked. Which brings me to choice. We cannot emphasize voice without choice, for choice is imperative in growing and sustaining identity. I can choose what I wear every day, which reflects my identity. I can choose what I eat and where I live and who I live with and what music I listen to, all of which define who I am and help sustain my identity. And yet, when it comes to classrooms, there's often little choice, especially in classrooms of older students. When my own daughters entered high school, their reading lives came to an abrupt halt. It wasn't that they weren't reading, it's that they didn't have time to read anything but what was assigned. Choice became non-existent. In their literature classes, they were required to read the same books at the same time and basically at the same pace as all the other students. They were required to write essays on specific topics, also assigned by the teacher and according to prescribed formulas. All of this meant that their identities as readers and writers shriveled. I was shocked to hear my older daughter declare one day, "I hate to read." This had been a girl who devoured books as a young child. She now hated to read? When I probed a little, she elaborated. There was no time to read books for fun, to read books she chose, to read books for the sheer pleasure of reading. To excel at school, and she excelled, she was required to leave her reading identity behind. Statistics confirm that this same phenomenon happens with others as they get on in school. The 2019 Kids and Family Reading Report, sponsored by Scholastic Publishers, found that among school-age children, reading frequency, in other words, how frequently a reader read, declined starting in grade 3, around 9 years of age. And while some of us who are older might blame this decline on the rise of online activities such as Fortnite or TikTok, I think we need to pause and look seriously at the role of choice. Is there a correlation between the decline in reading and choice? Scholastic's research seems to suggest that there is. They found that in the United States, at least, across demographics, 89% of students agree that their favorite books are the ones they have picked out themselves. Additionally, 9 out of 10 students say that they are more likely to finish a book they have picked out themselves. As the readers among us know, reading is a kind of relationship that we develop with books. And this research suggests that when choice is removed, that relationship falls apart. When kids choose, the report states, they read, and when they don't, they don't. But choice is complicated, right? You can't just snap your fingers and have an unlimited number of books to choose from. I know you know this. I'm preaching to the choir here. This Scholastic study echoes this problem. Children, unfortunately, are often unable to find the books they love. Access to books is, the study finds, a likely contributing factor to the overall decrease in engagement with reading that's evidenced as children move through adolescence. So we need books. We need lots of them. We need compelling and engaging books of all varieties for all ages. We need books that reflect readers' lives and that show them lives beyond their own. And we need those books to be in all the places kids need them to be: their homes, their classrooms, their community centers, their libraries. When kids have access to books of their choice, they will begin to develop identities as readers and writers. They will then participate more fully in the act of reading and writing. Maybe they won't have to wait until they're in their 20s to find their story or to see themselves reflected in the pages of a published book. Maybe they won't be passive consumers of texts, vulnerable to those who might twist our words or manipulate language or turn stories into weapons that divide us rather than unite us. Maybe they will become instead active makers of texts, sending their stories into the world that show us our shared humanity. To ensure that this happens, we can do a few simple things. We can start with ourselves. We can ask ourselves, who am I as a reader? What is my relationship to books? Who was I taught to be? And what parts of that teaching do I want to hold on to, or do I need to move away from? We can look at our bookshelves and we can ask ourselves, where am I among these texts? How do I feel connected to them? And how do I feel erased? We can then look beyond our bookshelves. We can ask ourselves, how am I using reading and writing to open myself to the world, to understand others who may not be exactly like me. And if we're teachers, we can ask ourselves, how can I allow more choice in my classroom for students to build and maintain a relationship with reading and writing? How can I make space in my classroom for students to find their voice? And finally, we can look to our communities. We can ask ourselves, how can we be role models for others, for our children, our students, and our colleagues? We can work, as I know many of you already are, to ensure greater access to books among those who lack access. We all need to ask ourselves how we can use stories to better see ourselves, because when we see ourselves better, we can see others better, and we can begin to build communities united by words, empowered by words, and celebrating words, just as words were always meant to do. Thank you so very much. I'm so honored to be with you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dorothy. That was such a meaningful address. Yes, words and book unites readers. The reason why we all are here today, the celebration that we are making today, the unity. Now we have approached to the end of the program. On behalf of Rata Bangla Kitab, Rata Bangla School, and Rata Bangla Foundation, I thank you all for being present and helping us celebrate the important day dedicated to children and children's literature. Thank you to all the national and international authors for giving us their valuable time to spread the movement of Bal Sahitya Mahotsav. Thank you to our guest presenters for your support in enhancing and enriching the Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021. A heartfelt thank you to the teachers and administrative staffs who have worked to put this festival together. Thank you to our intern Suravi and our A-level students Shlok, Miron, Vivav, who are the tech team live streaming this program. And most importantly, welcome to all the children whom we dedicate Bal Sahitya Mahotsav 2021. Now we have come to the end of the opening ceremony, but the festival has just begun. Have a great time. Thank you.